Let me just say, as what I would call myself an isekai connoisseur, I dabble in the trash, I dabble in the amazing masterpieces. I've seen things that are almost a staple, whether the absolute trash or the best shows in the isekai genre. And what Yuuya just did is the most illegal thing I've ever seen and has made I Got a Cheat Skill in Another World go up a couple of notches because that was fantastic. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about, it's the trope where a character is going up against something or someone that they are clearly outmatched for. Whether it's the beginning of an isekai adventure, they're still getting accustomed, or they're deeper into the episode counts. When you go up against someone and give that dramatic speech, I can't do it, I'll turn around, but no, my honor says I have to, they're basically charging in knowing that they're gonna get their ass handed to them. And usually it's written in a way where, well, they manage to pull through, they get a level up, they power up, or something saves their ass. And we get that dramatic speech, we get that heroic send-off because our boy comes into contact with this little puppy that he ultimately ends up adopting, and he one-shots the opponent. And he literally cringes out loud and falls to his knees being like, I can't believe I gave this dramatic speech, I literally just embarrassed myself and somehow broke every rule that should have occurred there. And if I can't express my love enough for this show, Cheat Skill in Another World is just fantastic. Full live reaction to this episode is available on my Patreon if you do want to see my full uncut thoughts. I'm loving this one. It's honestly, I think the best way to sum it up, and I've seen this over like the last couple of videos, is it's like, this is the type of show where it uses cliches, it uses tropes, but it proves why using them isn't always an issue. And I think that's honestly one of the best ways to sum up this show. I've been hammering it in that I think Yuuya as a character, his self-hatred, his self-loathing, the fact that they keep that relevant even now that he's hot and everything normally would magically switch. That's a core thing, but you can't deny that there are tropes and cliches in this show. He has the harem falling into his lap, a bunch of pretty girls obviously going to be competing for him. All these things are following the basic harem formula, but honestly, most people who seem to be watching this seem to agree. Like, one, we're happy that he's building a harem because damn if this boy didn't deserve it, and two, despite the harem building around him, you continuously look at him as a person of being like, damn, you feel bad for what happened before, but then you also look on the other end and you're like, damn, he's just such a good guy currently, like, who wouldn't fall in love with him? And the fact that the isekai formula, the fact that they let him go to and from the world, which is always fun, but the fact that the mechanics continue to impress me, like when he ended up adopting this dog, right? I was like, okay, it kind of looked like a fox to me, but I was like, you know, maybe he'll just, when he comes to the isekai world, the dog will be there. It's no different than going, you know, leaving your pet's home when you go to work. No, he takes the dog to his actual Earth world. I was like, oh, that's cool. So he'll actually just probably leave it at Earth and that's all it will be. No, he takes that dog right to the isekai world, and probably unless there comes a point where the dog gets severely injured, he names it Night, he'll probably keep taking him because the dog packs a mean bite, and as seen by the world shenanigans, he ends up just saying like, hey, go catch that mugger, and honestly, it's fantastic. I love the fact that there's these little moments that they all stack together. If this show was just, guy got bullied and now he's hot, or guy got bullied and now he's hot and he can make money in the isekai world and transport to the human world, yeah, it could be a fun watch, but it's not much I'd rave about. But it almost feels like every episode there's a handful of moments where I'm like, oh, I don't really remember seeing that done exactly like that, or I don't really remember the last time I've seen a mechanic quite like that. So the last monster they fight in this episode, it kind of feels like a legendary Pokemon. It has two different antlers, two different unique attacks, and by the time it's dealt with, a bunch of rare loot's dropped, and he basically gets a portable bath. Now, honestly, a lot of people might try to argue, what's so cool about that? Like, yeah, it's handy, but what's so impressive? When you put yourself in this situation, if you were really transported to a fantasy world, or you walked through a door to a fantasy world, if you go on a week adventure to go to a kingdom because a princess and a king invite you, you're not going to really be able to bath, right? You're not going to be able to bathe and smell decent. And honestly, the fact that they decide to go the route of there's legendary items that he can select from a menu, what type of bathing equipment he wants, the fact that he can drop it anywhere, honestly, those little moments, yeah, they impress me. I really find that amusing. And there's no denying they're following the OP hero trope. They're following the OP hero trope, the almost loser MC trope now becomes everyone's like BFF, if not they want to bang him. They're following all of those tropes and cliches, but Yuuya, this is the thing that makes it or breaks it. There's actually about two things I'd argue. One, do you like the main character? And two, is the world interesting? And both of those I think are fantastic. I think they've delivered on the fantasy world quite a bit this episode. Honestly, I've been seeing a lot of people say they want to see a bit more, and honestly, a majority of this episode was focused on more action-oriented stuff. And I like the fact that they, like, confirm, because we knew he was living in a dangerous part of the woods, but the fact that literally the knight that's, like, the head knight for the princess literally said that those monsters you're casually killing, if they grouped up together, like, any of their species, like, that's what would destroy a village normally. So it kind of paints a picture of just how OP he is. And while there's definitely mystery about what his cheat skills are, why he's able to so casually one-shot things or do things, you know, he's looking at things knowing that they're higher levels, and his weapons and his skills are making it so anything's possible. That is a cliche, but cliches don't have to be bad, and really this show proves that, because it writes the things that need to be more meaty in substance, like a character's self-loathing and being oblivious to the fact that, you know, people aren't just simply saying hi to you now because you have a dog. Like, you know, you're a completely different person now, even if internally you still have that self-hatred. And honestly, I like it. The most basic elements of the show so far is without a doubt just obviously the building harem. But in terms of individual personalities when they're separated, whether it was the modeling stuff, whether it's a girl who literally looks at you as the only person who cared enough to try to save her life when no one else would. It's not because you're hot now, like, you were a lot different looking. She came to your school to help you, thinking you were still that obese kid at the end of the day, right? Those moments are special and important, but in an episode where you just see, like, okay, she's flustered thinking that they might be going out, and then bursts out saying you're good enough for anyone, pretty much. Yeah, they are a little more predictable, but predictable doesn't have to be bad, and that's really what this show's all about. And the fact that they shatter those cliches in humorous ways, like him doing the dramatic speech to then casually one-shotting the beast and then just falling on his knees being like, bruh, I can't believe I was that cringy. Yeah, I really like this show. I also like how they clearly have fun with personalities for characters that can't talk, such as Knight. I mean, Knight was getting curb stomped by, like, Geld from that time I got reincarnated as a slime. And when they go up against, like, another creature in the same species, I mean, that puppy packed a mean punch and was like, I'm getting revenge for what your species did to me, and damn if that wasn't exciting. Truthfully, I think this is actually one of the stronger Isekai series in the past couple of seasons. I'm not here to say it's my overall favorite or it's going to be, like, in a top anime list for me anytime soon, but yeah, there's enough here that between Yuuya as a character and the interesting Isekai mechanic of going to and from and transporting things, the potential of potentially bringing some characters from the fantasy world into his world or his world into the fantasy world. There's a lot of interesting things at play, and I'm loving my time with this one, and honestly, I will stand by that statement even if Reddit decides to act like this is the worst thing they've ever seen. Thoughts and feelings yourself though down below. Favorite moment, if you got any, let me know. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. Also be sure to ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload on the channel, and like I mentioned, we do have a full live reaction available on my Patreon if you're interested. We also give video shoutouts and other perks like that if it interests you. So, till next time everyone, please take care and have a good one.